starting from the beginning of this etude, we should notice the key signature. We don't have any sharps or flats, so that usually means we're going to be in the key of C major. So we have to especially watch out for the A string and the D string, using that second finger nice and low for the C natural on the A string and the F natural on the D string. So those are two notes that might be a little bit of a trap if you're not paying attention. We do have some shifting here. Shifting is when we're taking our hand position, we're just moving it up the fingerboard, in this case to third position. So that means that the position of our first finger would be, if you have tapes, on that third tape, or on the A string, for example, it would be on D, where our third finger normally is. So when we go to play in third position here, in this case at the end of line 1, we're going directly to our third finger F natural. So we go from an open D to an F. Can be a little bit of a tricky transition, but I like to use my first finger as a guide. As then we can make a little exercise of that, where when I go from open D and I rock to the A string, instead of going direct trying to find that F just blindly, I'm gonna find where my first finger would go and then set down my third finger. So hopefully that will help. We shift back down at the beginning of line 2. We play first finger D, second finger E, then you'll see a 2 on the C. That is where we come back down. We want to make sure all our contact points around the neck are nice and soft and relaxed there. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult to move up or down the instrument. Because we play so many of these 16th notes in this etude, we want to think about bow weight. We want to use not that much bow, but sink that bow into the string. I actually use my fingers kind of weighing the bow down rather than pressing. We're not pressing. We're just using that weight of our hand to get this really bold, clear sound. We have a number of double stops and chords. Double stops is where we are playing 2 strings at once, right? Our bow isn't crunching down to make sure we can play both strings. We're merely finding that balance, right? So as you kind of explore these double stops, we're going to take a look at, let's see, the first time we have double stops is going to be, we have chords in line 2 and line 3 with 3 notes stacked up on top of each other. We're going to get to that in a second. And line 3, measure 2, we have 2 notes stacked on top of each other. Our first one here is E on the top and C on the bottom. So as we get to know these chords, what I would do is play the lower note, then the top note, while keeping my third finger down. And then with my bow, I'm gonna find that middle ground, where my bow just happens to be sitting on both strings at once. Then I go to the next one. We're gonna play B natural, and open D, then together. Next one, my first finger plays A. Ooh, we have an accidental F sharp. And then we have G, G. All right, so our fingers are going to be doing a lot of moving at that point. So if our eyes can be scanning ahead of where we are, as we're looking ahead just slightly, then that can help us find that next finger position. But start slow, play one note, then together, and then gradually move from one chord to the next. When we have 3 notes stacked up on top of each other, that is also called a chord. And almost always, sometimes we play a rolled chord, but in this case, we are going to look at the beginning of line 3. We have a G, then a first finger E, and a C natural, right? Because of the key signature, remember it's not going to be that C sharp, C natural. So we have 3 notes. How do we play that? Our bow is going to sit on the G and the E. then partway through the bow, I'm gonna roll down so that I can play the top two notes. So I use a little bit of bow for the lower notes. I rock to the top notes. Then we gradually speed that up. Then I set the fingers for the next chord. We have open G, F natural, and B. Notice the fingers here will kind of fold over top of each other a little bit. So I play the G and F together and rock to F to B. That's how we play it. Moving on to another tricky spot. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line 6, beginning of line 6. That's a little tricky. So we can always take out the slur first to practice. Set 3 and 1, and back to B and D. Now we want to keep our second finger down there, because if we keep lifting it up, it's much harder because we have a lot of more moving pieces. So in a lot of these double stops, we're going to want to probably keep a finger down just to make it a little easier for us. So that time we're going to keep the second finger down because we're coming right back to it. Set 1 and 3, and then come back. 1 and 3 lift together. Moving to the next measure in that same line, at the end of that measure, we have a C and an E. That bottom note moves, but the top note does not move. So I'm keeping my first finger held down. My bow is balanced on the G string and the D string, and then we're just peeling up that third finger. And the next measure, my moving notes change to the D string instead of the G string. So hopefully that will get you started and break down a few of those concepts and some overview detail. Good luck.